We can't let them have a base on the West Coast because it would change the dynamics.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Worker. Senator Shaheen, please.
Thank you, General Kurilla and Langley. Thank you both for being here this morning. General Kurilla, I want to pick up on a conversation that we had when we met a couple of weeks ago, and I appreciated that opportunity. But one of the things we talked about was the situation in the ISIS detainee camps in Syria. And can you give us an update on what the current conditions are and what you're doing in CENTCOM to help destabilize what's happening there and what you need from us in order for us to be more successful there?
Thanks, Senator. So I've been to Syria 6 times. I was in Syria last week. So as we look at ISIS in Syria, it is 3 categories. The first category is ISIS at large. That is the ones that we're fighting right now with our Syrian Democratic partners, and I think we have contained ISIS, but the ideology is uncontained and unconstrained. The second category is what you referred to as the ISIS in detention. I refer to them as an ISIS army in detention. There are over 10,000 ISIS detainees spread across 26 different prisons in northeast Syria. I went inside the Hasaka prison last Thursday. That is the same prison that January of 22 last year, there was 4,400 ISIS detainees in there. They broke out, over 1,000 made it outside the walls, and in a 10-day battle that involved both our U.S. forces, air power, and Syrian Democratic forces, over 400 were killed. Some escaped, the exact number unknown, and then the rest were captured, but 121 of our SDF partners were killed in that prison breakout. What we are doing specifically about the detention facilities is we are trying to consolidate them now. This body provided funding for us to build another prison, which we think consolidate the vast majority of the rest of the prisoners. We also train the guards that are on these detention facilities, and the CTEF funds help facilitate that. And lastly, the last category is the potential next generation of ISIS. I had an opportunity to go into the Al Roj camp and into Al Hall inside and talk to residents. I talked to women from 16 different countries last week inside the camp, to include the woman from Alabama. And then I also went inside the Al Hall camp, and I met 3 teenagers who had been there for 6 years. And remember, ISIS really didn't come to Al Hall until about late 2018. These were people that went there to escape ISIS and escape the regime. And then with the fall of ISIS, territorial caliph, in really March of 2019, it swelled from about 35,000 to 70,000. And currently right now, there's about 51,000 inside of Al Hall. Over 30,000 of them are children, and they're at risk from radicalization. About 50% of the camp holds espouses some form of ideology, according to the camp guards, the camp administrators, and the residents, and the other half are trying to escape ISIS. Really, the only role there is that we can do is there's no military solution. It's the repatriation, rehabilitation, and reintegration back into the society.
And are we having any luck getting some of the countries to repatriate those detainees who came from their countries?
Absolutely, ma'am. So we've actually had more success in the first 2 months of this year than the last 6 months of last year. About half of those IDPs that are in Al Hall are from Iraq, and we work with our Iraqi security partners and the Iraqi government to repatriate them. They've done 1,200 in the last 2 months. At that pace, it would be about 4 years to get everybody back. So we're working with them on how they can increase the throughput. But right now, it's their ability to go through the Jeddah 1 camp, which is south of Mosul, as they bring them back. What they don't want to do is just move one IDP camp to another. So they're working through that process.
Thank you. Well, I hope you will let this committee know if there are additional resources or other supports that you need. General Langley, the map of Africa shows where the Wagner Group is operating, but it doesn't speak to the success or not that they're having with recruitment. Can you speak to that? And maybe Senator Reid asked about the success at information or disinformation efforts that they have underway. Can you also talk about what we're doing to respond to that in a little more detail?
Senator, first and foremost, let me talk about Wagner's intentions. They're all about power and profit. If they're going to give a false offering of security, it's only for the elites in a particular country. We're seeing that in Mali. Wagner failed in Mozambique. They tried to entrench upon it, and that government, albeit developing, did not like that false value proposition. They have continuing actions in the CAR, the Central African Republic. In that vein, I think the Central African Republic is kind of getting fed up. So there is no recruiting going on. It's all about profit, making their way to gold mines, diamond mines, or rare earth mineral mines. That's extension of the Russian Federation.
Thank you. I will submit a question for the record on the disinformation efforts.
Thank you, Senator Shaheen. Senator Fisher, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.